Yo, what's going on, guys? Your boy Oosh back again once again, and different little bit of setting here. Obviously, I'm not in my usual studio room or anything like that. I'm actually at my fiance's place. We have a couple Godzilla cards that we have to go over, and no, I don't have mini Godzilla with me today. I don't know what we should actually call him just yet. Good thing he's not here to hurt his feelings. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So first things first, I actually do want to go over something that was brand new. It's kind of a surprise, and I wasn't expecting to see official English cards just yet, but yep, I just spoiled it. We finally officially have our first look at official English Set 2 Monsters Raid Again cards. And obviously, if we're gonna follow the same pattern and the same flow as what the Japanese reveals were like, I'm pretty sure we might end up seeing every single card in the same exact order that the Japanese were shown. So before we get into the new cards that were revealed over the weekend and today, I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison. And in the Discord, I actually called it like something like ridiculous, and I don't even remember what I called it at this point. But I wanted to do some sort of a translation update bulletin or something like that to see exactly how close we are from the machine translation. And this is previous to a time where before Zergel, so shout out to Zergel, when it was literally just between Tuscan and I were literally using like Google Translate, Google Lens, and then eventually started using Chat GPT, and then that's when Zergel stepped in. So I wanted to read you guys these cards and just to show you like how close or not we were. So let's see, I can't even use this like I wanted to. I've never used this anyway, but anyway, all right, I can read it. So our translation read that this was a burst 3, right? So it was Godzilla 2016 4th form. This is the one step on the left that we're reading here, and it says for burst 3, obviously this can appear from rank 3 if you do discard this card at the start of your next turn. And the enter ability reads that by discarding one strategy card from your hand, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. You add one monster card from among them to your hand and discard the rest. So the official translation now reads, the burst 3 is basically the same. It says you can play this card from rank 3. If you do, send this card to your discard pile at the beginning of your next end phase, which I feel like our version was a little bit more on the nose rather than the English version. Sometimes I remember there's some players, myself included, when we were learning the game, that were a little confused in regards to like what the next end phase meant. Would that mean that it would stay on the board up until your next turn's end phase? Or is it that same end phase? And it is in fact the same end phase within that same turn that you would play this card. That would be pretty busted if it wasn't played like that. But yeah, so that's the only change there. So it's pretty much identical. And then the enter reads, you may discard one strategy card from your hand. If you do, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add one monster card from among them to your hand, and then send the rest to your discard pile. So I feel like not exactly one-to-one, but what we were able to translate essentially means the exact same thing. So I would say that's a dingable thing. I will applaud us for holding our own and just to get a general understanding of how these cards are gonna work. So that's the first card. Let's see how we did on the second card. So the second Godzilla 2016 4th form, which funny enough, I don't understand why they don't just put Shin Godzilla in the text. Obviously these are the Shin Godzilla cards, and the set is based around Shin Godzilla. It's like this is like the poster board right here of the new set. So either way, so for this second one, our translation reads, when invading, if there is a card with 3rd form under this, you must destroy all of your opponent's battle cards with grade 6 or less. If there is a card with 4th form under this, gain 10,000 threat level for each strategy card you have placed. So again, this was machine translated before we had any individual like Zergel that can literally directly read the characters from Japanese and then translate it into English for us, and then I would do the polishing. So again, machine translation. Now here's the official translation. When invading, if there is a card with third form under this card, destroy all your opponent's rank 6 or lower battle cards. If there is a fourth form card under this card gains 10,000 threat level for each strategy card in your strategy zone. Very much more on the nose with the official translation. That's actually very spot on. There's no vagueness in it. I actually feel like the machine translation for this one wasn't as good, even though they essentially both mean the same things. I just wanted to point that out to start this video up as a little warm-up, that we were pretty close. All right, we were pretty close. We pretty much understood the same thing. However, it's definitely worded a lot better on the official version for this two-step Godzilla 2016 fourth form. But like I keep saying, same thing. I just worded it way better on the official translation. So that's the official English updated translation, official bulletin board. Let's get on to the new cards. All right, so first things first, I wanted to go over the new promo feature. And funny enough, they're running a promotion to whenever you buy one box, you are now getting a new promo Heat Ray. Everyone's favorite card. This is a card that if you ask certain people, they'll think it's bad. But when you ask the rest of the community, they think this is one of the best strategy cards in the game. Maybe not the best, but definitely a runner-up to whatever the top strategy card is, which is a reminder for those that are looking forward to it, or for those that don't know. Very soon, I will be doing a tier list of every single card in set 1 leading into set 2. We're gonna probably do it at some point this week, so if you're not already following me on Twitch where we do the live streams, you definitely want to go ahead and do that. And it'll be our, I guess, lasting impression. It's probably not going to be very accurate if I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've played in locals in person, and I've played a bunch of games with my own fiance, so I do have a very good understanding of pretty much all the cards that are in set 1. But I'm sure that there's going to be some other people that are going to have some sort of opinion when it comes to those cards. So I wanted to do it live rather than doing like a video, so that way it'll be like a kind of like a community built tier list. So it'll have like my input and other players' input. So if you're definitely someone that's been competing for sure in the Discord, then I would love to have you guys in the chat for when I do that. So when I do the tier list of all the set 1 cards, and then we're gonna be doing set 2 prediction tier lists whenever we can get all of the images. So that probably won't even happen for a while, but I guess for the meantime, if someone is gonna be so bold to go ahead and upload all of those Japanese cards, and then I'd have to have my translation page up next to us so we can make sure we're getting the right ones. That might be a little bit of a challenge, but you know, if you guys want to see it, then we'll try to figure something out before all the English cards do come out. But in any case, yes, this is the 1 box purchase promo, where you buy 1 box, you get a brand new Heat Ray promo. I feel like Heat Ray is one of the very few cards in this game that has like the most promo variants, right? So there it is, a brand new Heat Ray. First up, we have some new green cards. So I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, we're gonna see a few of each color in this batch of new reveals. So here we go. So this one's pretty simple and it's straight up. This is a rank 4 Godzilla green card that has 2-step with 4,000 counter power. So right off the bat, it says if this is in zone 8, this card gains plus 3,000 counter power. This is essentially a 7k, which is almost, I want to compare it to the, I think it's a 4, maybe it's a 5, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a 4 cost Mecha Godzilla that when it has 2 rage, it also grants itself 3,000 counter power. The difference is that's a 1-step. This is a 2-step, which I can understand why now, because the only condition that you need to meet for this guy is it needs to be in zone 8. So once it's in zone 8, you get a 7k beater at a 4 cost. This I can see being a card to have, where you can easily repel or counter your opponent's monster card early on in the game. So has some good utilization. Up next, we have a rank 5 Megalon battle card with 5,000 counter power, and this is actually one of the few cards that actually has no effect. If I'm not mistaken, this is probably the only one so far that I've noticed in recent memory. And out of all of the cards that they've revealed so far, this is the 71st card that is a part of set 2 that I can recall right off the top of my head. So if I'm wrong, obviously leave it in the comments, right? Let me know which other card that we did in previous videos where they had no effects. I feel like this is the first one, right? Like this is crazy. I'm like, damn, like usually all the cards do something, right? Very rare, I feel like, in this game, but there are cards. There's far from being like a whole lot. A lot of the cards in this game have some sort of effect or utilization, but Megalon right here, just 5,000 counter power. Yeah, that's it, right? Okay, next up we have our 72nd card, Biting Attack Strategy, a rank 7. Okay, for every rank your opponent's monster card has, gain +1 rage. I repeat, for every rank your opponent's monster card has, gain +1 rage. So for those that may not understand what that means off rip, that literally means for every rank your opponent's monster is, you're gaining another rage. So for example, if their monster card is rank 2, you're gaining 2 rage. If it's 3, you're gaining 3. And if they're at their final and 4th stage, you're getting 4 rage, which is actually pretty fire. So this is a pretty, I would say, and being at 7 cost, that actually makes sense because you're going to be on the verge of potentially winning. And if you're playing a green deck that for whatever reason has a lot of rage built up, or maybe you don't and you need some extra rage built up, at that point you drop that 7, boom. And then if they're for whatever reason at 3 or 4, you're gonna get 3 to 4 more rage depending on what their monster is at, and that's pretty strong, I would say. So that's a pretty good card. It's a 1-step, so you can easily without having to worry about running out of low on 2 steps. This is a 1-step. You can run 4 copies of this if you'd like. Okay, so up next we have a brand new Biolante rank 3 monster card. This is the Black Biolante Plant Beast form, and with 23,000 threat level, not bad for a 3 rank or a rank 3. So it says right here, this is an effect that applies on your opponent's turn. However, you also need to be in zone 6 or higher to fulfill that Awakening 6 condition. So it reads, if your opponent has a strategy card in play, this cannot be countered by 40,000 or less counter power. You would instead move this card as if it was countered. So this is one of those cards that basically has a built-in Oxygen Destroyer. For those that don't know, Oxygen Destroyer, if your opponent's monster card has 2 or less rage, you're able to just repel them as if they were countered, but they would not proceed to the next rank. And also Zergil wanted to throw that translator note in. He, in his words, said this effect is the same as one for rank 4 Godzilla 1995. Do not play your next monster card not written on the card showcase. So he mentions that it's not mentioned here, but it's pretty important that he felt like he wanted to let you guys know and remind you, just like how I did, that is how the card works. So yeah, there's other cards that have this similar effect where you need a certain amount of counter power in order to successfully push back and then make them or stack, get to the next rank, similar to how Oxygen Destroyer works as well, right? So the next card we have Mecha King Ghidorah. This is a rank 4, a 37,000 counter power, and it has potential to gain more, and here's how. If there are 5 or more cards underneath this, add plus 3,000 threat level for each unoccupied zone your opponent has. So this would actually be really smart to play with something that is a board wipe. I don't know off the top of my head what green has, or if there's any white cards that would work in this situation, but to really optimize this card's effect, you would want to board wipe first. So clear all those battle cards out of your opponent's side of the field. Then you would want to really take advantage of this, so that way you can gain as much threat level as possible. And plus, like, if that would potentially, you could gain like 21,000 if I'm doing my math right. It's, yeah, like you get, because you're doing 7 zones, if you'd want hypothetically to be open unoccupied, so then 3,000 for every one. Like, that's pretty busted. Yeah, it's pretty strong. But also you have to have 5 cards underneath this. So for those that forgot, the green King Ghidorah is one of those decks that you're really gonna try to stack as many times as you can. You can only do 1 stack per turn, So it'll be very interesting to see how that works. And it's already gonna have 3, just because to get to 4 you need to go through the numeric order, 1 2 3 and then 4. So you're just gonna have 2 more stacks, and plus you can have 2 stacks from previous cards too. So ultimately you want to take advantage every turn possible to continue stacking, and then that's how this deck gets its triggers to resolve. Okay, and last but not least, we do have a rank 3 Space Godzilla monster card with 23,000 counter power, and it says, or threat level, excuse me. At Awakening 4, if you have 3 or more crystal form cards in your area, your opponent cannot play any cards in the same column as this. So cards that are already in the same column are not destroyed. So that's actually something good to note. That's in the parentheses within the card's text itself. For those that forgot, Space Godzilla really relies heavily on these new crystal form token cards. Okay, so if you have any crystal form cards in your area, that doesn't necessarily mean the tokens. I'm actually realizing this now, because the text, if this is to be believed, that this is targeting not only just the crystal form tokens, but if it's any cards that have the crystal form trait in it, that would actually be interesting, and a weird mishap on their part, simply because if it came down to the traits, they would have to be highlighted in blue, like how other cards that, you know, target certain traits, they would specify that in their card text. But maybe in this case it's not. But again, you want to definitely pay attention to any cards that have crystal form in the area. So they say area is not in your zones either, so you have to really pay close attention to the wording on how these cards are given to us, right? So again, can't play any cards in the same column as this if you have 3 or more crystal form cards in your area. So that would I would imagine that would also apply to strategies, maybe, but probably not. I think it's probably leaning more towards those crystal form tokens anyway. But I mention all this just so that to keep your awareness up, so that when we do finally see that English translation, or whenever we see players use these cards in their decks in upcoming tournaments in Japan, because they're going to be getting the set 2 first, we're gonna have to see how it's actually played. Okay, and my memory did not serve me correctly, because I really thought that we had at least one new red card to go over, but that was, you know, in the last video. So in case you missed out, definitely go ahead and check that out after you're done watching this. But yup, only green, blue, and some white in this video. So our last 2 cards for the day, we have a Motha Imago from 2003. This is a rank 7 battle card with 7,000 counter power at a 1-step, and it reads, on the enter, if this is in the same column as your opponent's monster card, reveal the top 2 cards from your deck. You put any rank 5 or lower battle card in your hand and discard the rest. So this is decent draw power. I guess you could say recycle power, because there's a chance that you'd have to dump the 2 cards you just drew unless they were rank 5 or lower. So this is, if you're running a deck that involves rank 5 or lower, then you should be good to go. And I can already see some decent utilization, not even just thinking, oh, you're gonna have to play this with like other Mothra cards or like in a blue deck or anything like that. No, actually, you could play this in a blue deck. It doesn't necessarily have to be filled with Mothras and evolutions. You could probably run this in the weapons deck that I'm really looking forward to trying to run, where you can run as many copies of MBT as you want. This would actually help you draw more MBTs. So for example, if you had a card that helped you draw cards, then you could play this as well. Of course, you have to wait until your opponent's in 7 or higher. You drop this, you get 2 more cards, and hey, you might draw into those 5 or lower battle cards, and then boom, you just have to keep them, maybe play them, who knows, right? So it says rank 5 or lower battle cards. So again, this doesn't only target specific cards. This is any battle card that's 5 or lower. So keep that in mind when you're trying to deck construct or build something that you're forward thinking with right here. Okay, and the last card, this is called United Front. Now I will actually read the translator note from Zergel right now, just so that we can get that over with. So the characters that are in the title of the name literally means joint struggle or united common front. So they're unsure what they'll go with for the English version, of course, because that's obviously at the discretion of whoever's in charge of doing the official translations. But there's a chance that they simply use something like Alliance. And just given off of the graphic of the card itself, I mean, we got our boy Jet Jaguar dabbing it up with freaking Godzilla. You know what? Freaking the Goji Jet Jaguar collision, the united front. So either way, I'm cool with whatever they end up calling that card. Alliance would be cool. Joint struggle actually kind of goes hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's different. Like, bro, we're in this together, we're struggling together, boom. That's very different than just doing something like united front or alliance, you know what I'm saying? But I could definitely see Alliance, because unlike the other two options, Alliance is just one word. That's less characters, and it would almost kind of match the vibe of the characters that they use for this card right here. So let's get on to what it does, okay? There's actually another pretty cool effect at a 6 cost 1 step. So you have to reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, similar to the Motha card, right? So we're revealing top 2 cards. If they share one or more traits, add them to your hand, otherwise discard them. Very interesting. So the example that they have within the text reads, for example, if the first card has Godzilla and the second card has Godzilla with Fest Godzilla, you add both to your hand. So meaning that for those that might be a little confused, all the 2 cards only have to share one trait, and that's it, okay? And that's the bare minimum so that you can just keep them in your hand. Otherwise, you'd have to ditch them both. So let's say, I'll give you a bad example. Let's say if you drew one that had Godzilla, but then the second card you drew had King Ghidorah, you'd have to ditch them both, right? If you drew your card that had King Ghidorah and King Ghidorah in there, you're good to go. If you drew a card that said Godzilla and had weapons, and then the second card it said weapons and something else, you could keep those two, because the shared trait among those 2 cards is weapons, okay? So that's basically all that this means. Of course, if they share more than one trait, then boom, your deck is even more synergized than my examples, right? But I hope that made sense when trying to understand how United Front works. If that's, you know, United Front, Alliance, or freaking... if it was up to me, I'll call this card Gang. You know what I'm saying? Gang. You know what I'm saying? Boom. That would be fire. I would love to see a Gang card. You know what I'm saying? But either way, that's it. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and update. And this is a pretty exciting week, because we're going to have one more of these videos dropping this Friday, as usual, and it'll be the last video that we do when it comes to revealing the new Japanese cards. And I just wanted to put this out there and say thank you to everyone that's been following along, and all the new subscribers, all the new followers and whatnot, everyone that leaves a comment. I just want to give you guys a special shout out, because I've been enjoying this game very much, and it is my pleasure and honor to be essentially the one guy in the community that's been taking the card information, working with other guys like Zergil and Tuscan Cow, to get these revised translations out for you guys, so that way you guys get more hyped and more prepped for set 2 when it drops literally in a few weeks for the English version. But if you're in Japan, if you're them lucky, okay, then y'all get the first actual physical look at what these cards can do. And I think it was Zergil that asked this question. Zergil was like, hey, so can we run the Japanese cards for those Discord tournaments? And everyone was like, yeet, no. But it would be cool for some casual plays. I also, in addition to all the other video ideas and, you know, in relation to this game, I wanted to, as a part of one of those things, I wanted to try to record some of those Discord matches, because like I have not had a chance to even do that myself. The only time I ever get to play is with my fiance, or in the rare case I actually get to go to my local at Trifecta Gaming. I haven't had a chance, so hopefully sooner than later I'll be able to play with you guys. But as of right now, life is just holding me back, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be this full-time content guy for you guys, and not just this, but in all the avenues that I love to enjoy and explore, right? So Godzilla, Monsters Rated Again, G for Gang, you feel me, is coming up very soon. We have a lot of content coming out. There's a lot of cool things outside of just what I'm doing. There's some other guys in the community that we're gonna have some written literature for this game coming up through articles. We're gonna have player interviews potentially. We're still gonna have these tournaments. We're gonna have locals. We're gonna make sure that everyone's fed, and we're gonna also have some other gameplay. And I'm pretty sure the tabletop simulator is still being worked on to get some more kinks out. It is usable, but it's a little more on the challenging side. If you missed out on that first gameplay or the stream that I did, then definitely go ahead back and check those out if you'd like to just, you know, get more Godzilla card game content for your plates. Otherwise, yeah, stay patient, stay up. Make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. Love what you love. Gang, gang.